And I think one of the most important books that I read in all of the research that I did was The Continuum Concept by Judith Lightoff, I think is her name. It's a powerful book. She lived with communities in Peru and as an anthropologist observed how children were raised. And one of the most important aspects and observations that she made about living in community with these tribes in the Amazon in Peru was, yeah, Jean Lightoff. Thank you. Yeah, not Judith. Jean, thank you so much, Gabriel. Is the idea that children are born whole, that children are born exactly who they are, and that the role of the parent or the village is to facilitate, to bring out the essence, the aspects of who they are, and to help them recognize and realize and step into who they are. And that sits in deep contrast to the Western perspective, which is the belief that our children are empty vessels and we are meant to open up their soul and pour in the influence of the parent or the goals or the values of the parental units in the family or the family structure. And to me, that explained a lot. That really defined how childism, or some people call the same thing adultism. It depends, which academic you're reading, but I like to call it childism. It explains how childism, meaning this is a demographic that has very little rights. They don't have sovereignty or autonomy over their own body. And maybe I'm not talking about babies. We need to change our babies, and there are people that even ask consent to change their babies' diapers, and so be it. If that's how you wish to step into your parenting, okay, that's fine. But what I'm really talking about is from a Western perspective, we look at children, and institutions look at children, especially the conventional institutions of school, of education, look at children as empty vessels that we need to input information. And information might be one thing, but it goes deeper. There are deeper goals or desires within the conventional institutions. And in fact, I think Eleanor Roosevelt was once who, for those of you that are international and don't know who she is, she was the wife of one of the former presidents in the 40s or something like 40s, 50s, something like that. American history. But she was once asked, she was the first lady, what is the purpose of education? And this sort of really stung me like a bee. She said, the purpose of thank you. The years are 1932 to 45 that Roosevelt was president. And she said that the purpose of education is solely to create good citizens. And the sting that I felt from that, it was so far from, well, education should be about, inspiring a deep love of learning, really helping children to recognize creativity, to learn how to problem solve, like all of the things that I wanted in education were not a part of this conversation. It was really about, and I'm going to use the word indoctrinating and some people might find offense to that word, so I'm sorry if you do, but indoctrinating a culture to be very to be a good citizen. And in order to be a good citizen, this is nationalism. This is nationalistic pride. It's in the case that, because I come from the US, it's American-centric thinking. It's it's all about those nationalistic values. And this isn't new. This is really part of the Prussian education system.